Hello boys and girls, and welcome to the first episode of Deer 30.
So on this week's episode of Deer 30, we have my good buddy, Ian Miller.
What is up?
Ian, he recently killed a very, very nice 8-pointer earlier this year. And basically, he's just going to kind of give us a rundown on how it went. That's basically why we created this podcast, for our buddies to come on the show and they can, share their hunt and stuff. We thought it'd be pretty cool, and people would definitely watch it. So, Ian, tell us a little bit about this hunt here.
Okay, so when I was going into the hunt, I wasn't expecting anything, really. I made an intro for the video because I shot, as you saw in the Woodsfield hunting, the doe that I shot the week before. I had a GoPro. Now it was going to be terrible quality. So I'm like, oh boy. So before dark, I'm like, let's rattle, get this thing in, and I can have a video of it coming up to me. And of course the button buck, because they're not too smart a deer, comes in underneath my stand almost. And it was looking around, and you could see in the video I was looking towards the button buck, but then behind me I heard something crashing in the trees. It was making a scrape, and I turned around, didn't see anything at first, and looked back towards the button buck. He was looking up on that. There's a ravine in between me and this cornfield, and the next time I turned around to look, because I could hear something turning around, and there was this buck making a scrape. And I just instantly shake, and you could hear me in the video saying, "Big buck, big buck." I grabbed the bow, and I'm like, I get antsed up sometimes, and I shake too much.
Yeah.
But it came. I was sitting there. It was 30 yards right when I saw it. I got my first buck ever with a compound, so I was shaking, and it came down 25 yards broadside. If the video was clear, which you get. People would have been so mad because it was 25 yards perfectly broadside, and I wasn't shooting. I was full draw, drew back on it. I was just making sure I got a good shot. I didn't want to shoot in the guts or anything, taking my time. But and then it went down in the ravine when I was getting ready, right before I was about to shoot. This ravine's so deep you couldn't see it when it went in it. But then about a minute later, it comes back up the ravine. I had to let down. I was holding back for a minute 30 probably, or a minute. I let down, and then it comes up the ravine, and stops. It comes up, gives me another 25-yard shot. And this time I drew back real quick, got on him, and just fired as quick as I could. And the arrow looked like it was sticking out that much whenever I hit it. When it ran off, I turned the camera around. I thought I heard a crash in the distance. I wasn't 100% sure, but it sounded like it was hitting trees real hard and stuff. It did the death kick, but when I turned the camera around, I took my hat off because it was on the GoPro thing. It was like that.
Yeah.
And when it ran off, I called my dad. I was worried. I'm like, dude, I thought I shot too far forward, hit it in the shoulder. I've done that on a buck before. Didn't get it. I only had one drop of blood. But I got lighted knocks, which were probably these ones.
Right here, baby. Yes, Taylor Night knocks.
Those were money.
Yeah. So tell me this, when you were in the stand, you saw this thing 25 yards. When you first drew, because you had to draw twice.
Yeah.
Correct. So when you first drew, did you know it was as big as
Well, it looked like a cow walking through the woods to me because I haven't seen a big deer yet. I shot that small doe, and that button buck was probably the only 2 deer I seen that year when I was hunting. And so to see that thing walking through the woods, it was the first buck I seen all year, and got me amped up.
Yeah, because did you have trail cam pictures of this thing?
We did, but I didn't check the trail cams till I didn't know this buck was in the woods until after I shot it, because I checked a different trail cam after I shot it, and it was on the trail cam. So at that point, we had no bucks on trail cam. We had a basket rack 9-pointer, which I would have shot because it's my first time.
So you were going into the hunt expecting a basket 9, and this stud walks out.
Yeah, that's why I was like.
When you take your hat off, you're just about said, he's shaking his hand like this. She's like.
I remember I said something stupid it was I know you guys saw. I did terrible grammar or something. I wasn't in the right state of mind. It was weird.
That's buck fever right there for you. So,
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, it all worked out, and I mean, you didn't have a cameraman with you, but that was impressive for all the video you got without a cameraman.
If it would have been a little bit lighter, it
Yeah.
would have been money.
Yeah, and I think like the GoPro too. When you film with the GoPro, it looks a lot darker than it actually is.
Oh yeah, it wasn't even close to that dark. I wasn't even thinking it was. I didn't even think it was even close to like not shooting light.
Yeah, because that's like when we went back and watched the footage. Like I was like, holy cow! It was like midnight when he shot this thing. But if you kind of look out in the cornfield, you can kind of see it's definitely.
I feel like if it wasn't because the camera, I had it pointed. First time I've ever done this, I had it pointed down too much. It's my brother's GoPro.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was getting the ground and like not the sky. I don't know if it'd make it lighter or not.
Yeah.
But it was on like auto brightness or something. I don't know, it was weird.
Do you have any blood or anything tracking it, or
Well,
a lot of blood?
The first because it ran off with the arrow, so I didn't know where it was. So when I called my dad to come help me look for the buck, we started tracking it. We're like, oh boy, because I still thought it hit in the shoulder at this point. We were tracking it and couldn't find nothing. But our goal was to find the arrow first. And with that night knock, as I was saying, you could see it about 20 yards in distance. We got to that, and they covered probably that much of blood. So I'm like, oh, this thing's bright red blood, bubble in it.
Yeah.
And then blood was just everywhere after that. It didn't have an exit, which was weird. I think it hit the back shoulder. But yeah, blood was still everywhere. It was weird because it was just, you could tell where the deer was running, and the blood was squirting out the left side of it, because that's where the exit where it went in.
Yeah.
Nothing was coming out the right side. It was weird because just the blood trail on the left. But then it only went like 40 yards.
Really? So that's not bad for compound 40 yards.
Especially for a big buck like that.
Yeah.
Body.
Alrighty, so we actually have the skull mount with us of the actual deer we're talking about here. Ian, if you want to whip that bad Chad up here.
Absolute giant.
Dude, look at that thing.
Biggest deer in the world.
What'd you say the spread was?
I think 18 and a half.
That is a tank. It's got some mass on them, some junk here.
It's got this little notch.
Mainframe 8. That is a nice. That's an old deer too. You can tell. But so you did the skull mount yourself, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like break us down, because I've never done it myself. Have you?
No, I haven't.
So
I've never shot a buck.
how did you actually do that?
Well, there's two ways to do a skull mount. I watch YouTube videos how to do them, but there's the first way, which is the easiest way, but it takes the longest. You bury it, wait like 4 or 5 months, and then you get it out of the ground like July sometime. But I don't really have land to do that. I live in town. I'm like, that could get stinky, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Yeah,
nah.
sure.
And to do this quick, I just decided I didn't have anything to do this week because I'm not in any sports right now.
Yeah.
So I just got it out, and all you gotta do is cut the hide off the head, which it looks mean and like scary after you do that, especially with the lower jaw underneath
Really?
the teeth, and like ooh. But then you break the bottom jaw off, and you just boil it in hot water. I mean, you boil it in water.
Boil it, yeah.
It's gonna be hot.
You gotta boil it in cold water?
Yeah.
How long do you have to boil it for?
I just boiled it for like 10 minutes, and then I got it out with a pressure washer. And this was the messy part. Pressure washer into this thing, getting all the junk out of it.
Yeah.
It sprayed up in my face. So I'm like,
Aw.
I was sitting there, I'm like, ooh, going in this back hole, and you can see there. That was the hard part. You got to get all the brains out of there.
Oh.
But then you got to make sure it's all clean, or else it'll have a stench to it.
Yeah.
Like later, and it'll turn yellow. But after that, it's the easy part. You just wrap these horns up in just plastic wrap, saran wrap or something, and you get 2 bottles of hydrogen peroxide, and put it with water, and you just boil that for like probably, you keep on checking it every 2 minutes or so. And when it looks like somewhat white, you just set it out and let it dry for 24 hours, and then it turns into this.
Dude, that's pretty sick. I've personally never had a deer skull mounted, but I mean, if you can do that at home,
Yeah.
it definitely beats a full shoulder mount, paying for all that. I mean, it looks sick.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
It takes some time though.
Yeah.
Really? Oh well, I bet. I mean,
Yeah.
I've heard of people like they bleach the bottom to make it look white.
Mm-hmm.
But like with that,
sometimes.
They bleach it. Yeah, you can see. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but I like hit with the pressure washer.
Yeah.
See how it got like white back there?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to hit that with the pressure washer, and then it gets rid of that. I'm like, you can wood stain it, but I'm like, I don't feel like doing that.
Yeah. I mean, it looks fine.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Alright, what county did you shoot this thing in?
Wayne County.
Wayne County.
Wayne County.
Yes,
Wayne
sir.
County.
Surprise, surprise.
Oh, Wayne, if you're watching.
What did
Savage. Good.
Alright, what did it score?
Scored 129.5. Well, that's how I scored it, 129.5.
Yeah.
So it's not official or anything, but I just watched a YouTube video again how to do that.
You watch a lot of YouTube videos.
Well, yeah, it's about all I do at night. But
Was it heavy? How much was it? Like what, 250? Maybe?
I don't know. It had a big body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was.
It was 80 pounds of hamburger. I mean, no, not 80 pounds. I mean 80 hamburgers.
Yeah.
Okay.
80 pounds of hamburger. That's a lot.
81-pound hamburgers.
What?
I'm just kidding.
No, I don't. 80 quarter-pound hamburgers, probably.
Quarter-pound, yeah.
This podcast is sponsored by the Homestead Builder Company and Failer Outfitters. You can check them out on their website, faileroutfitters.com. They also got Facebook. Get yourself some night knocks, and he's got a lot of cover scents. There's also some Woodsfield gear on there, and also some of the Swords Troopers. Go check them out as well. This is also podcast number 1 until Lee Ellis gets on this podcast. We're gonna count it down every time.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's only like 2 or 3 instead of like.
Yeah.
It'll probably be 80, but that's all right.
Lee, if you're watching this, Logan has a big man crush on you.
No, I don't, dude.
Kinda.
No.
But
Just threw up parts.
if you ever want to you know,
Hey, you can come hunt in my tree stand.
yeah, and talk on our podcast, man. Like,
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Let's do it.
I've killed bigger deer, but
hit us up on Instagram, which I mean you already did,
yeah.
but
See,
we're
we're already in.
Yeah, we're pretty much best friends
Like,
now. So
He actually invited me over for dinner the other day.
he did,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah,
Man,
but
I
I
didn't.
told him I didn't want to drive to Atlanta tonight. I got to work tomorrow.
Oh, really?
He said I understand.
Gotcha.
Hopefully, yeah,
Some other time.
yeah, maybe. I'll see what my schedule is. Might fit him in. What kind of bow do you shoot?
I got a new Z7 this year. My cousin gave it to me, Zach. Which, if you're watching, thanks, Zach.
What for arrows do you shoot?
I went to Kidder Sports, got gold tips. Got the cheapest. No, I mean, they're not really cheap, but I was looking around for them. I was going to buy like a bunch of them. So I bought only 10, which is a bunch for me. Bought 10, they're only $10.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What for broadheads do you shoot? I mean, well, which one did you shoot with this?
This one, I used a Rage hypodermic. Yeah.
Do you use Rage?
I use Grim Reaper.
Grim Reaper? I use Rage hypodermic. I'm telling you what, every deer I've shot with a Rage hypodermic, one blade, you know how like it's expandable?
Mm-hmm.
One blade when it expands like cuts off. Did that happen on yours?
No.
Like break off?
Yeah,
I had one of my Grim Reapers did that.
because I think I hit it in the rib. That's the only reason it would have done that.
Yeah.
But every deer I've shot with a Rage hypodermic, it like nicked off one of the blades. So
I actually used the same arrow and broadhead that I shot that doe with you
yeah,
in that tree. But yeah, and it wasn't even dented at all. I just sharpened it, made sure it was sharp.
Yeah.
And then just put it all back together and took it out.
Would you recommend Rage hypodermic to people? Like, would you consider it a good broadhead that you would recommend to people?
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's dead.
Like, would you use it again? Would be a better question.
yeah. I got 3 more that still work, so I'm still using them.
Yeah.
I haven't missed a deer. I mean, I've just made bad shots on a deer before, but like a good shot, you'll get it every time.
Yeah.
What was going through your head like once you walked up to him, like you finally like realized like he was dead?
It was just a lot. I was stoked. My dad actually saw him first. We were walking up to him, and he just said like "holy cow" or something like that. I kind of forget. I zoned out, but it was just awesome. It was leaned up against a log, and I'm like, I was still shaking.
All right. So, like, when you got up to the deer and you got your hands on him, like, were you expecting it to be this big, or were you expecting it like to be smaller?
No, I mean, it was actually bigger when I got up to it.
Yeah.
So I was kind of hyped, but I guess I didn't know how big the deer was when I shot it, but it had a huge body.
Yeah.
I mean, I was gonna shoot any buck that came up with my compound, really.
Yeah. I think that's something that like every hunter can like agree with. Like you should like when you shoot the deer in the woods, like you think it's big,
Yeah.
but when you actually like hold it,
Yeah.
it looks so much bigger. Like it just doesn't even compare to like just it walking in the woods.
Mhm.
So, thank you so much for watching this episode of, or I shouldn't say this episode, the first episode of Deer 30. I'm Trey Barkman, and this is Logan Rayburn. And if you want to be on our podcast, make sure to hit us up on Instagram. We'll respond to your DM.
Yes, we will.
We'll get you lined up here. So thank you so much, Ian Miller,
Yes.
for being our first guest.
It was a true honor.
It was a heck of a deer you shot.
Kind of bring him back to talk about the other one.
Yeah, he's killed some other studs. So definitely we'll see him back here. So I guess this wraps up our first podcast, boys.
Yes, it does.
Many more to come. Peace out.